Next, we want to incorporate partnerships. Welcome back to Get Your Message Out. I'm Jen Lee, and it's time to go beyond just thinking that you alone are responsible for getting the message out, and to think about partnerships that you could incorporate. This could be colleagues who are working in a similar space, people you could reach out to. This could include people you haven't met yet that you may need to introduce yourself to and say, hey, we have something in common. We have a shared passion in common. We have a similar work goal in common, and I really want to share and connect with you. Incorporating partnerships is something that we can just be nurturing ongoingly. But if you haven't ever thought of it before now, don't worry. Do a little research and look at who makes sense to reach out to. Now, part of this may be closely related to what you've learned about how you're going to reach your audience. For instance, if you've learned, I'm going to primarily reach my audience through TikTok or vertical videos on Instagram, then a partnership you may want to initiate, develop, or call upon is influencers who are already making highly viewed content in your space. An example of this is that recently there was an initiative with a group at Harvard that reached out to social media and TikTok influencers who were creating mental health content, and was working and inviting them to connect with researchers in the field so that they could actually have a connection to recent findings. And they started out by researching who was out there making content, and they had a list of criteria they were looking for. They then started with Zoom calls and inviting people to be a part of that kind of a panel discussion, which you could also substitute instead of influencers. Maybe you're reaching out to journalists and you're inviting them to a Zoom call to share your preliminary findings or a study in progress. And then ultimately they created a conference for those influencers and invited them on site to really receive that information, because they could see there was a need between the communicators being connected to the people doing research, so that the communicators could have evidence-based information that they were sharing, and also so that the people conducting that research didn't have to also, on the side, become highly adept communicators on social media platforms, which many of them don't have time or capacity or interest or skill set to do. So that's a way to also think outside of what you've maybe thought of before. But look at the missing pieces in your plan when it comes from getting the message from you into the minds, hands, hearts of your audience. And explore what kind of partnerships could you explore along the way. And is there someone who is already creating for an audience similar and adjacent to the one that you're hoping to reach, that you can let them know what you're up to and find out how you could support each other in your work? That's a way to really broaden your reach, but also build community for yourself and ensure that the message is going to go farther and spread wider than if you had just put it on yourself to do it alone.